Good evening. How are you doing, both of you?
We're all right.
You never have time
Well,
for me, Ashmal. You're in a flipping car now.
well, I'm going to give you a little bit of time sitting down. I've parked up my car and I'm watching you both talk about sex life. Obviously, it's not appropriate for the time.
Oh
So let's
no,
talk about Tory
No,
party
no,
and
no, no.
terrorism.
the Imam heard us. That's terrible.
Oh dear, you feel bad now, Ash,
Yeah,
don't you?
terrible.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. People of all faiths do have sex, but let's not go into that now. Okay, listen. There is this whole thing about whether or not people have the wrong idea. Now, we've been friends for a while, Ajmal. Because of my dyslexia, I forget names. That's why I have a bit of paper and I usually write them down on them. I don't understand at all why they actually continue to do this, because I think the majority of people, everybody has a hatred, and I think it is a hatred of terrorists, whether they're Christian terrorists, whether they're from whatever part of the world they come from. And at the moment, there has been, for the last number of years, there has been quite a lot of Islamic terrorism around, and a lot of people are very frightened. You know, if you were to mention some of the organizations, ISIS and other things, people get very, very confused. And I think it will be good for you this evening to explain why actually ISIS do not represent the Muslim world. Would that be fair?
But no, James, I think I'm going to turn that question on its head. Firstly,
Go on.
when you call it an Islamic terrorist, I think you are mixing up terminology. So, for example, if something is Islamic, is something that is good. A person who's got an Islamic character, they're supposed to be a person of kindness, generosity, compassion, care, and etc., etc. All the good things in a faith is defined by the word Islamic. You're saying Islamic terrorist. It's like saying kosher pig. You won't say that. It doesn't make sense. So there is no Islamic terrorism. It's terrorism, full
Okay.
stop. And terrorism has no religion. We have had Irish terrorism, we have had Basque terrorism, we have had terrorism from all corners of the world, including
agree.
the Tamil. So therefore, let's firstly unpack that. There is no label before terrorism. It's terrorism.
Right.
Now, Islam as a faith has been associated with many of the bad things that are happening in the world. But you know, and I know, these are very dirty politics that we see around. People exploiting religion. They would be probably exploiting their own mother's name if they could, just so that they could have it their way. So I don't want to really blame Islam and the Muslims, but the substantial discussion for our this evening should be: is Tory party actually an Islamophobic party? Is the Prime Minister responsible for being insensitive to the sentiments of Muslims? And is the former Tory party candidate for London mayoral election, Zach Goldsmith, also insensitive? And if I was to quote Baroness Warsi, a Tory peer in the House of Lords, would we be fair to say that Tory party, Conservative party, is actually institutionally racist, unwilling or unable to comprehend what they're doing to the Muslim community and how they're alienating a huge number of voters in this country, their citizens? And most importantly, the Prime Minister now says he's deeply apologetic if anyone has taken offense, especially now that he's the Prime Minister. Of course, that's a terrible way to apologize. It's like saying, I'm only apologizing because I'm Prime Minister. But if I was a journalist, I'll still be calling you bank robbers. That's not acceptable at
Well,
all.
okay. Let me have a few words about this. First of all, I want you to explain what is institutionally racist. I also want to tell me, Ishmael, how when some of the scenes that we've seen on social media, and I'm afraid that is a problem that we have to learn to contend with, because that is proper freedom in a way, although people abuse it. But when we see videos, and I'm not saying one religion I hate or I dislike. I'm not a big religious fan. Okay, I'd wish we changed the English flag. It represents a time of the Crusaders, which I'd rather, Anyway, but when we see videos of people having their heads cut off and people going on about their God who is superior and allows them to do this and everything else, people are going to get confused about the whole issue. And unfortunately, I think, when talking about the burqa and saying it was a bit like a letterbox, which I think was the thing, you and I have had a discussion about the burqa. You say that has got nothing to do with Islam at all. It is actually just a fashion of some people who live in the Middle East.
Cultural thing, yeah.
A cultural thing.
Yeah.
That's what I've said it is. So for him to suggest that if a woman was to choose to wear a cultural expression of what she felt comfortable with, whether it's a burqa or a skirt or bandana or a shirt or whatever she wants to, for Mr. Boris Johnson, to equate them to looking like letterboxes and bank robbers is not only insensitive, that's absolutely damn right ignorant.
It's ignorant, isn't it? It's ignorant, but it's not the sort of racism that we saw with the anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, where a lot of MPs had to resign. There's a sort of racism which is clunky and idiotic and sort of sometimes, British people, but then there's also a very nasty form of racism as well. And they're very different. They're very different though, aren't they?
I understand. You're trying to justify racism by saying...
No, I'm not. I'm saying there's two different... There's Nazi racism where they want to kill a race and they want to be... And then there's ignorant racism where you say, their clothes look silly. But you're not really a nasty person.
Just before we move on, hang on.
It all starts from these subliminal racism. When in Europe, when the Jewish communities were caricatured, when they were mocked, their cultures were belittled. It's how it began, and it.
Well, there were already pogroms, weren't there? There was already violent anti-Semitism before all that.
All began with the subliminal racism that you're talking about. We don't have any space in modern world for any forms of racism, whether it is subliminal, whether it is unconscious or conscious. It doesn't matter. There is no room for racism.
I agree.
I
totally agree.
I think there's a difference between Nazis and someone saying that some clothes.
I agree with you too. Just a minute. I want to clear up this thing about women in this country being made to cover their faces. I don't actually believe many women want to do that, because I think that's what their men actually say they have to do because of their religion. Now, I don't actually want in my country, which is, as far as I'm concerned, a secular country, anybody feeling they have to cover themselves up, because that means they don't want to have anything to do with me or my society. And I think, Ajmal, that is wrong and it has to be addressed.
I agree, but I think you are missing the point. The point here is Tory party institutionally racist? And you asked me a question before, what is institutional? I'll tell you what is institutional is. When 2/3 of your complaint, in other words, 66% of your complaint was about the way Muslim communities or individuals were dealt with within the Tory party, when 75% of your complaints were racially biased towards one group of people, the Muslims, that's when I call it institutionally racist. And that's what happened in Tory party. Now, I know some people have been sacked because of that. I know some people have been reprimanded. But, it starts from the top. It starts from the Prime Minister. He has made racist comments before, Islamophobic comments before. And he hasn't made proper apologies. What he has done is given, conditional apologies, a sheepish type of apologies that doesn't really cut it for me. Second thing about a woman choosing. I don't want to be rude to you, my friend. I've known you for too long. But are you suggesting woman in this country, in a democracy, in a country there is freedom of speech, freedom of expression, people are totally free to walk into a police station and say my husband is doing this, or just make a phone call to say that my husband is oppressing me? Are you telling me these women don't have a voice to be able to pick up the phone and say my husband is forcing me to cover? I don't believe that for a minute.
Yeah, I am.
If they are,
I think a lot of women live in this country and other countries under the fear of quite a lot of men. I think
under
they do.
the fear, in other countries I can believe that, because in other countries there may not be rule of law.
What are they?
In our countries,
here we have honor
what are they
killings,
going to? Hang on. What are they going to do if they walk in and they are in a very, I'm going to call it an extreme Islamic family where the man wishes a woman to behave in this way and to always cover up and not to be seen by any other man, and she is kept out of a social contact with many other people, and she was to go to the police and complain about her husband. Where would she live? What would she do? Where would she go? I think it would be very, very difficult. We've also had honor killings happen where women have been taken forcibly from this country, taken abroad and killed in the most appalling way.
Killed in this country. They've been killed in this country.
And some killed in this country, you're right. And I think that has to stop.
I agree.
Quite
And
often people, even Christians, sometimes think they are Christians and part of the Bible. They think they are above the law. You know, we have this terrible conversation going on about conversion therapy, and we're going to ban it. And the next moment, we're not going to ban it until we actually have discussions with religious groups. Well, I don't care what the religious groups think. It's a disgusting behavior. Ban it now.
I see. Look, I'm with you when it comes to people's fundamental human
I know
rights. All of us are free. We can choose, accept or reject a religion, accept or reject God. Quran says that, James, my religion, Islam, is defined by my faith and belief in the book. The book is called the Quran. The Quran says you can accept God's way or you can reject it. It's up to you. If that's what the Quran says, I don't care which Muslim you have come across who says that they're going to force their wife to dress up in a particular way. I don't associate with those Muslims at all. Well, I say something very simple. We have a problem in our country. In our country, we have, in certain political parties, Islamophobia rampant. And one of them is Tory party. And we have to do something about it. There is no excuse. We need to eradicate it from Tory party. We need to eradicate it from all sections of our society.
Ajmal,
and of course, we need to make sure our ladies, our women, our sisters, our mothers, I've got a daughter. And you
Ajmal,
come and talk to her. She'll give you a...
Hang on. I need to take a break. I want you to stay there for another 5 minutes if you can, because I want to come back after the break. And I just want you to explain, to finish, exactly how institutional racism manifests itself, because I think for a lot of people, they might not even realize that they're doing it. So if you could just wait for 5 minutes, that would be great. We'll come back after this.
So, for example, within the party, if somebody is being treated differently to the rest of the societies, rest of the party's member because they're Muslim, if there has been remarks made about their faith, if they have been discriminated during shortlisting period for local party selection, perhaps for this candidacy, if they have been asked questions such as about their religion and they've been discriminated because of their religiosity or their political beliefs, all of these manifest itself in various forms and guises within the Tory party. And I have many friends who have been in Tory party who have left in disgust because they felt at local level there has been quite active Islamophobia, and at national level nothing has been done about it.
There's been no resignings at national level as well.
Can I just hang on a minute? Can I just say, is that because a lot of the people who are involved in, I don't know, I don't belong to any political party, isn't that because a lot of people who are involved in local political parties, and we're talking Conservative Party now, are a bit old? I hate to say a bit stupid, but you know they're stuck in a time where they don't really understand what's going on. The Conservatives have one of the most dynamic members of the government in Rishi Sunak, who is of course the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and of Asian heritage
Hindu,
as well.
isn't he? Hindu.
Yeah, but you know, I just think a lot of these people. I understand the difference. Yeah, no, I do. But I'm just saying that for a lot of people, they see a certain colour and they don't think actually more past that. And I think that's something we have to educate people in.
I think the colour issue we may have quite successfully overcome in most of its manifestations when it comes to colour discrimination. But what's become the new awful cancerous plague in our society is the hatred of Islam and the Muslims, for all sorts of political reasons. And this is deep-seated in our history, from the crusading time, from the colonial time, from the double talking of British foreign policies when they were carving up the Middle East to their friends and their families, and destruction of Muslim world in a way that has never been seen or witnessed before. It's all embedded in that subculture and subconscious of people. If only people knew. Just a simple question to you. If you ask me, what does Islam stand for? Islam stands for three things, James. It is about my relationship with myself, it is about my relationship with my fellow human beings, and it is about my relationship with God. What's wrong with such an idea? One relationship which is with myself is that I must respect myself and honor myself and be good to myself. I need to be healthy, and I need to have a healthy and a physical body and a spiritual mind. I need to have a good relationship with my fellow human beings based on justice, fairness, and all the good things. I need to have a good relationship with God. If Islam is promoting these good things, why would people have a problem with it? I still haven't come across one single person telling me what is the problem they have with Islam. They may have problems.
Well, I can tell you right now, and Ajmal, I can tell you right now, because
give me one.
I mean, I'm just no. I don't need to give you one. I could just tell you what it is, because most people's view of Islam, who are not Islamic, is that they are going around cutting people's heads off. That they're telling people they can't do this, they can't do that, and it is completely misconstrued. It is the same way.
Let me help you with this. There are 1.8 billion to 2 billion Muslims in the world. If all Muslims were going around cutting heads of people, do you think anybody else would be left on this earth to walk and speak?
No.
Do you think you would even be safe on the streets? It would make no sense. There are 2 billion Muslims in the world.
But people are not sensible. They see stuff on their news screens and hear it on their radio and everything, and it gets in your head. Oh gosh, well, and you're led to believe it. They see boats coming up on the shores of the south coast, coming over from France, full of people who look like they've come from the Middle East, and they're asking why? Why are people coming here?
Why are they coming over?
I'll tell you one of the reasons. Yeah, one of the reasons is they're coming over because their countries aren't safe to live in, and maybe we ought to be doing something to help make them safer.
We have made them unsafe, James, by our foreign policies. We have supported dictators and despots for years. We have funded and supported Saudi government. We've given them arms. We've given arms to Syrian government before. We've sold arms to Saddam Hussein. We're still selling arms to Egypt. We're selling arms to Israel. We're selling arms to people who are misusing them. And then we wonder why people are coming to our doorstep and knocking on our door saying, hey, it's blowback time. What you did to our country, we're here now. We are at your doorstep. What are you going to do about it?
But there is a lot of Islamic extremism, isn't it, in those countries which cause a destabilisation? And it's not
Islamic extremist, Ash. It is extremism because of our failure to instill good governance. We have been in bed with the wrong people. We've been giving rise to monsters we can't control.
Ash,
but they do. But they believe they're following the religion, don't they? And you believe you're following.
Yeah, English Defence League. They believe that most patriotic English people on this earth. They're not, are they? They're racist. So let's not say.
I agree. You won't hear any disagreement
but
from us.
They do believe it.
Totally agree.
Everyone believes what they believe, don't they?
I can believe to be a banana today, but you can turn around and say, hey, come on, Ajmal, get yourself checked out. You're not a banana. You're Ajmal. We know you. There is facts and there is fiction. The fact of reality, the fact of Islam is that it is a religion of 2 billion people. It is a religion that teaches people to be good to themselves, good to others, and to be good to God. If that's what the basic teaching of Islam is good news for Britain. Islam is good news for the world. What's not good news for the world is dirty politics.
Ajmal, thank you for joining us. We'll talk soon, my friend. And thanks for enlightening us in some quarters as well. Thank you very much indeed.